The hospital said stop doing this, but like I said, it cures my belly. It did it again today. It's gonna do it again in a little bit. When I was 18 or 19, and I started smoking freebase with my friends, and there was no such thing as crack yet. And if you wanted to smoke coke, you had to make it from scratch. I mean, you could buy cocaine, hydrochloride, but you have to turn that into a smokable form with, that process they use. I've seen some scientists at work, they pull that chemist wand out of the test tube, fucking golf ball glued to the end. They're like, you ever see anything like this? Mesmerized. Took a puff of that. I'm like, hey, listen, man, I really gotta stay still for a minute. I'm way too shaky to drive. He's like, I know, just hang out, chill. We're gonna be here for a while. Oh, man. Anyway, the point of it is, so he has this whole setup, a shot glass with isopropyl alcohol in it, and a fucking long doctor's Q-tip with cotton at one end, wood at the other end. Lights the dips the Q-tip in alcohol, lights it so it has fuel to burn. Starts lighting the stem like that, right? And this kid was serious about smoking, so we didn't have a stem. He actually he bought it. They said they called it a genie's tip, and what it is I'm sorry guys, I'm a little sick and shit. A genie's tip is to smoke smokable cocaine. If you take cocaine hydrochloride, the powder, and try to sprinkle it on your cigarette, that powder, or roll it in a joint. I've seen blacks do that here. I'm like, no, stop him, don't let him do it. And the dealer's like, let him do whatever he wants with it, you know what I mean? That's how they do it. I'm like, what? I told you what I read. I said, I read that in a fucking medical book. If you take cocaine hydrochloride, just powder cocaine, you're gonna taste it, okay? You're destroying all the psychoactive effects at that point. You cannot heat cocaine hydrochloride. Why would they bother turning into crack then? What would be the point of that? And so, people think you can do that. I'm like, yeah, I read it in a medical book, so I'm gonna listen to the medical book before the prostitute that just got out of jail who got given classes on how to stay safe while using drugs or whatever. But so cocaine hydrochloride, that's the powder. You can't get that warm. You're gonna destroy it. Heroin can stand a little heat before it starts to change and and the quality will decrease, but it can withstand some heat. And cocaine hydrochloride, no heat. Crack, you can smoke it, but he's saying a butane lighter gets too hot. He said if you use this alcohol, it's going to burn at a lower temperature, and with the result, it's going to be the rock is going to burn much slower, and the benefit is going to be you're going to get a lot more smoke out of that rock, and who knows, it might be a lucky day. You might never wake up and have to see your wife again. No, I'm kidding. I want to wake up every day because I feel so great when I wake up. But I do, last night I did so much drugs, I barely remember anything, but it's those fucking Klonopin. They're like fucking a brain erase. But that's as close to drunk as I've gone, and I've always known there's no stronger intoxicant, it's how intoxicated I am. Nothing else gets you as wasted as alcohol, right? We all know that, right? What else is gonna leave your bed spinning, you're puking? What else does that to you? Alcohol. And so I love when judgmental people, if they drive through a bad neighborhood and they see young guys and they're hunched over leaning up against a mailbox or something, how disgusting. What kind of drugs did he do to get like that? Drugs do not do that. It is disgusting for him, and his girlfriend kicked him out last night because she has a boyfriend who stole his whatever the case was. he had nowhere to sleep last night. Walk the streets thinking, I gotta figure something out. And eventually, at some point, that's how you're gonna end up. And it happened to me in the hospital, and some girl's like, wow, you were really fucked up here. I'm like, oh, really? I said, I hadn't slept in 3 days. You think that might have been something to do with it? You know, so like sleeping, standing up, or whatever. I guess I'm so against like going around judging people, because like people judge me so much. Even people don't know anything about me, or you know, they just make up things about me, and it's happening again here now with this kid. And like I knew this girl, and we worked in the same store, and she's like, and I'm like, we have the greatest bosses. She's like, hey Jeff, when you're not around, and you got to hear what these people say about you. I'm like, what? And I said, I don't give a fuck. Look at those fat fucks. Who gives a fuck? Let's go. Come on, Mom. We got shit to do. I never asked her what they said. Many years later go by. I'm in like a drug program. The one that put me in this room. And I have a friend. We're cool. And we're cool because I always have cigarettes and he always needs cigarettes. So it works out for him anyway. And he's like in shape, and I'm fat, so I feel like I have a little protection out there if people start screaming at me. Anyway, so I'm like, oh, our caseworkers are good. And like, Jeff, you should hear what they're saying about you. I'm like, Mike, what are they saying about me? And he gave me like a little synopsis of it. And he's like, none of it was true. They're like, I don't know. Christina, you have to text me, call me. If you remember, what were those people at A&P saying about me? If they were saying, Jeff is a fucking huge thief, I'll say, you caught me. I was like, remember, we were bringing, but not so much from A&P, honey. That wasn't until later, like, with that other job we were living, right? Remember how that shit started? That was funny, yo. Jeff, don't you dare. Christina, don't you dare. They're paying us $8 an hour. It's our turn to shop. What manager would put together a schedule and leave two people in the store alone who live together? They're both very young. They live together, but they're not married. Number one, that's right away. Like, they're young, and just. But no, he couldn't get workers. He had no choice. But I mean, if I'm in the store alone and I have my book bag, then I'm shopping. I've never not shopped. One day it was so funny. I'm with someone, and she's like, and we have to go to my parents for some stupid holiday. And I want to bring a little weed. And she's like, we're not smoking weed there, Jeff. And I'm like, listen, I don't go to my parents' house without bringing weed to smoke. And so I say, all right. But I didn't smoke in the house. I mean, you sit in there wherever they're sitting, stare at Masterpiece Theater, quiet as a library, everyone's sober as a judge, sitting there, hands folded, or whatever, right? And so like, I'm still gonna join. I'm going in the backyard to, you know, but then one day I didn't know that. Well, I happened twice. One time he didn't say it, then the second time he said it. I'm like, pick me up at Metro Park train station. I walked to the end of I knew it was gonna take him a while to get there. I walked to the end of the platform, and I'm gonna walk back. I have the like best skunk weed New Jersey, I would say the East Coast has ever had, right? This weed was fluorescent. I'm pretty sure if you shut the lights out, it would have glowed like that scene in Pulp Fiction when they open the briefcase and that glowing emitted radiation light comes out. This weed was so good, like it was radioactive. That gotta be the name of the weed. But like the color was so vibrant, you'd almost swear it's emitting its own, like it had its own light source. Purple strands in it, deep, beautiful purple, fluorescent green almost. You know, it was and it looked like that, and like as pungent as you can imagine. The only problem was they kind of nicknamed it skunk weed. For some reason, it has a skunk flavor. Skunk smell terrible and can make us gag, but when it's in your weed, they get you like 2 puffs, get you like stoned, like you know, you can tell you have something of quality here. And so I smoked that, walking to my parents' car. They weren't there yet, but I have a roach left of it too, and I put it in my pocket. When you like just smoke a joint and have half of it in your pocket, everyone around you who doesn't smoke weed, they smell your weed. They know you have weed. And I get in the car and the weed is so good. My mother and father just look at each other like pissed off, like, this kid's smoking better than us, Fred. You got to do something about this. Like, but that happened. Then another time, it's a holiday. I go outside, I come back in, I'm stoned, laughing. Hey, family, my favorite family. And my mother's like, oh my God, I know what you did. I'm like, what'd I do? Never mind, Jeffrey. I'm like, hey mom, it's a holiday. Please don't ruin the holiday. And so what I did? It's the only thing that helps me get through days like this. And then that was the end of it. So they accept it. They don't want me doing it. I guess they say for your health. I think it's because they want me as miserable as them. But how long is this fucking thing? That's the thing. You record these little videos, and Apple wants to do HD, 3D, 4K, but all that shit like takes up storage space, energy. It takes time to get it to. You want to put it somewhere that like, if you lose your computer, you're still gonna have something like the Siri or whatever. But it takes so long to upload big files. But the good thing is you can just put in iMovie and tell it shrink this fucking thing down to nothing. It'll shrink it down to nothing. The quality is going to be terrible. But so what? You had a fast upload. But that's the lesson for today. Don't do people favors. They don't appreciate it in the first place. And I'm having problems here with my neighbor. He's totally making up lies about me. And Christina, I want to know what the office was saying about me. I'll never see Mike again, though, but he told me a little bit. And Christina said the same thing. She said, Jeff, they're saying this shit about you that's completely opposite you. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what they say, Christina. But now I do, because, like, what the fuck? Why do people think they could just make shit up about me and then just say, like, whatever they want? Like, that kid was going around for so long saying, I gave him drugs, white people ruined his life and of drugs. And so I start shouting back. And, like, I don't give out drugs. Like, I had a crush on a girl in fucking grammar school, right? And she wanted to buy drugs from me. And back then, drugs were, to get high on drugs, you needed $3. $3. Well, and I had a crush on this girl, okay? And so then in high school, she's like, hey, Jeff, can you get any of those hallucinogens, right? And I'm like, yeah. I said, they're $3. She's like, it's no problem. I'm like, all right. Well, I wasn't going to give her a fair deal. So I took the hallucinogen, and I cut it in half with a razor blade, gave her half a dose, and took the full fee, right? And then a few days later, I saw her, and she's like, wow, that was something. But thank God I cut the dose in half, because she's so tiny and petite. A full dose might, oh, see, I'm sick. Oh, God, that's food. You heard it, that's it, you heard it here. That's food poisoning. Sorry that happened, guys. My body has a fucking mind of its own when I'm sick. I don't know if it's the same episode. If you're hearing sounds like that, it's coming out of your mouth, your stomach's gurgling. I'm so sorry that happened. I might edit it out. Fuck, I can't make a video to save my life. That's food poisoning, y'all. That's what it sounds like. And more than that, like different sounds. I had a question this girl. There was no way I wasn't taking my cut. And so I sold her half of it for full price, walked away, and the next day she said how much she loved it. And I thought, if I had given her that whole dose, it's I don't know if you people ever had an hallucinogenic like experience, but I'm so glad she did not have a negative experience with that. And I think I had something to do with it by cutting the dose in half. She's like 80 pounds, so that kind of made sense, So the real dealer, she knew him too. I don't think he would have done that. He wouldn't have. He was like raking it in. In our high school, they're selling like LSD. It's the 80s. And they would be like, when they sell drugs, like long lines form. The staff was so like out of it. Sometimes I think some of these people come to work and like go hide under their desk, and you see them at the end of the day. I like had an issue. I went up to the security guard, and it seemed like I startled him, and like he couldn't answer the question. I'm like, never mind, man, just go back to sleep. And he laughed a little bit, but it was not funny because when I got there, he was sleeping. All right, y'all. At least you can tell everybody you got to talk to the most hated white person in New York City today. I wanted to be something for so long. I don't care, I'll take it.